What's up everyone, my name's Liam, the soccer coach, and welcome back to another video. The weather finally decided to clear up after a week full of rain, showers and wind, so I thought I'd get myself outside whilst it was dry, make the most of the opportunity to get another session sorted and give you all another activity for you to engage in. This activity is going to have 3 different variations, each stage or each variation getting harder, so this will be the maximum amount of equipment that you will need for the hardest version of this activity. You will need 1 ball and 16 cones. Those 16 cones will be for stage 3 of the activity, but obviously stage 2 and stage 1 you will need less cones, but I will explain that a bit further on in the video. So for our warm-up, we're going to start just as we always would, by setting out 2 cones far apart from each other with 4 cones in between, and we're going to start with our 4 jogging lengths. As always, it's a nice slow pace to get ourselves started before we move on in the warm-up. After we've completed our jogging lengths, we're going to do some side steps for 4 lengths through our middle cones, and again, just like the jogging for 4 lengths, it's going to slowly ease us into the warm-up. Once I come back from my final lengths of side steps to complete my 4th length, I am going to complete 4 lengths of heel flicks. In a similar fashion to how we do it in previous warm-ups, we're going to simply complete our 4 lengths, and again, just as with the side steps and the jogging, it's going to again give us a simple little slow warm-up and a slow start so that we can get ready for the activity. Once we finish with our heel flicks, we're going to add a new variation to our warm-up called leg twists, or here in Wales we call them over the gate motions. We're going to complete these for 4 lengths. First length we're going to move our leg inside twisting, and on the second length back we're going to twist our legs out, as you can see me doing here. We're then going to repeat these 2 lengths again, so to start with going towards the camera we're going to twist our legs inside, and once we reach our far cone closest to the camera we're going to twist our legs out to complete the 4th length. Once we completed our leg twists, we're going to go straight into our lunges, and like usual we're going to complete 2 lengths and hold each lunge for 3 seconds. As I mentioned in previous activities, holding the lunge for 3 seconds gives us the full benefit of the lunge and be able to stretch our muscles, and whilst we hold it we can keep our balance and make sure that our muscles are stretching as we want them to. The final part of our warm-up is going to be some dribbling with the ball and out the cones. We're going to start by doing some left foot only dribbling for 2 lengths in and out of the cones. As you can see here, I'm controlling the ball just using my left foot, slowly navigating between the cones, and once I get back to complete the 2nd length, I'm going to then switch over to my right foot. Completing this little dribbling activity in the warm-up before we get started will just give us a little bit of an advantage in that we're able to warm ourselves up not only without the ball but also with the ball, and that we can get used to using the ball when going into the activity and try and get the best score possible. As you can see, after I completed my right foot dribbling, I then completed 2 lengths of both foot dribbling. So today's activity is called the traffic square, and the name might not sound very familiar to soccer to you, but I will explain how it's going to work. You can quickly see me checking over my fence here, looking to see what's there. It's actually because before the activity started I found a grass snake behind the fence, which is something I've never seen here in Wales. I've never seen behind my house especially, so that kind of shocked me. But yeah, besides that, the snake left and I was able to start the activity, so I started to mark out 4 cones in a square. As you may remember from session number 2, when it was me and my brother Callum, we completed a session called the fox versus the rabbit, and this is a very similar set out to that session. We have 4 cones set out in a square, and I'm going to be travelling with the ball around the outside of the square, as I'll explain now. So this is stage 1 of the activity, just like I said, with the 4 cones in a square, and I'm simply going to start with my ball at one corner, and I'm going to use both feet or just my strong foot, whichever I find easiest, to navigate myself around the outside of the square. Here I'm showing a little bit of a slower example to this stage 1 as I'm travelling around the outside, keeping close control of the ball, and I'm going to complete this for 3 squares. Once I've shown this tutorial and a warm up to this first stage, I'm then going to have a bit more of a competitive challenge, and I'm going to time myself to see how long it takes me to travel around the outside of the square 3 times. Here you can see I'm going to time myself and see how long it takes me to travel 3 times around the outside of the square. What's important to note is that you can complete the 3 squares yourself if you feel that's a good enough number. If you want to challenge yourself even more, you can add more time, so you can travel around 5 times and see how long that takes you. Or if you'd like to do it less, 2 times, or maybe even travel only once around the outside, that is fine. Once I've completed stage 1, I'm going to test myself and add more cones on 2 sides of the square. Just as you saw in the warm-up, it's very similar with the 2 far red cones and then 3 green cones in between. It may become more clear to you now why this session is called the traffic square. Instead of having to sprint as fast as I can around the outside, I'm going to, for 2 lengths of the square, have to navigate a bit slower and with a bit more close control to get through each of the cones, which means my time is going to be longer, but it means I'm not only testing my speed with the ball, I'm testing also my ability to keep the ball under close control after sprinting with the ball. For this stage, I am also travelling around the outside of the square 3 times again. As you can see here, I miscontrolled the ball slightly, but I was able to get back on track. But for me, this was a big test to see how close I could keep the ball under control after sprinting. Especially after completing the first stage, it was easy enough to travel around without any trouble. For stage 3, we are going to add even more cones and complete a full traffic square. We're going to add 3 cones on each side where cones previously weren't placed, and that means we're going to have 3 cones on each side of the square. So instead of sprinting around the outside of the square this time, I'm going to be navigating down each side, and it means once again it's going to be harder for me to complete it in the fastest time possible, because I have to be a lot more careful about how I control the ball. So here you can see me trying to complete stage 3, and I found it a lot harder than stage 2 and stage 1. Like I said, with stage 1 I was able to travel as fast as I could around the outside. With stage 2 I was challenged by balancing between sprinting and dribbling, but for this stage I had to keep the ball as close as possible, and especially whilst being in lockdown and not being able to play as much soccer as I would like to, my skills had definitely dried up a little bit. As you can see there, I miscontrolled the ball slightly, but the more I got into each side of the square and the more I sort of challenged myself to keep the ball close, I found it becoming easier and easier, and I found myself settling in. So I would definitely recommend you have a test run, a little warm-up like you saw in me in stage 1 to get yourselves ready before the activity starts. So today's activities warm down is going to be extremely easy and simple. All we are going to do is chill out and relax. Usually for each activity I would explain how we're going to go through certain stretches and make sure that we've warmed down. What I've also realised is that sometimes we need the chance to just chill out, take a break and get our breath back. For me here, I took the time just to play around with my dog in the garden, and I think it was nice for me just to be able to relax and sort of reflect on the activity and how I fared with the activity and challenging myself in each stage, which I think has been great for me during lockdown for these activities. Finding the right balance between, you know, enjoying myself, also testing myself to try and get the best score in each activity, but also just relaxing and just taking the time to reflect on how each activity went and maybe on how I could improve. But yeah, I would definitely recommend you just take the time to chill out, maybe play some PlayStation or just chill out with your family. So thank you all for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it and gained as many benefits from this activity as possible. If you did enjoy this video, make sure to leave it a like, make sure to also subscribe to the channel, and also make sure to go and follow me on my Instagram page, where I'll be revealing some early content for each video and giving people a sneak peek of what to expect from the future episodes. But for now, I will see you all in the next video.